The Outlast series has always been a series that has a deep focus on the player not being able to defend themselves, as all the entries advertise your limited options of either running or hiding. Now, if you put the single player games under a microscope, you will very quickly realize that these options at times are even more limited than advertised. Yes, there are segments where the player can decide to sneak around patrolling enemies or face chases head on if they're confident, but especially Outlast 2 has lots of scripted chase sequences that throw the sneaky approach right out of the window. Now, if you look at the structure of the newest Outlast installment, Trials, in comparison, you will very quickly realize that not only is the structure of that game way more in-depth with lots of player agency and approach, but also that both the stealth and chase options are constantly viable, and it doesn't have the limited options because of set piece problems. With that in mind, and because I'm a huge fan of stealth games and stealthy approach in gaming, I asked myself a question no one has ever asked themselves with this game yet. How far can you play the game without ever being seen by the enemy? And more importantly, can you beat every trial in the Outlast Trials without being detected? Before we get into every trial in depth and how to methodically get through them undetected, we need to talk about the rules for this challenge, because while obviously I have to not be seen, I made this challenge a lot deeper with extra rules. For starters, we will be running this challenge on all the main trials in a custom trial setup with specific variators instead of any presets like, let's say, psychosurgery difficulty in Genesis. We have the psychosurgery variator, which makes the maximum amount of enemies spawn alongside max default movement speed. Enraged enemies makes enemies very, and I mean very, aware of their surroundings to an absurd degree, whether it's eyesight or hearing any sounds I do from much further away. Security cameras is a special gimmick, which I feel is very fitting for this challenge, as I need to watch my step and not be detected. Similarly, I added extra sound traps to encourage me to watch my step. Now, unlike cameras, the challenge does not fail when I step on a single one of those, but it's there to make movements and stealthing around enemies harder and more tricky. The rest of the variators are pretty straightforward, as some restrict items and loadout, and I literally only have no revives as a variator to reset fast without going to the lobby, because yes, even though going into it, I know I would need to reset a lot in this challenge. But note that the first 4 variators are the more important ones for this challenge in specific. Now, for the actual rules of the challenge, we need to never get chased by enemies indicated by the chase music playing. For other detections that count as failures, we obviously have the cameras from the under surveillance variator, which will result in failure, but also the screamer enemy. The sleep screamer is weird to look at in a challenge like this, because technically you can categorize him like a sound trap, like broken glass and noisemakers, which both of these don't fail the challenge, but at the same time, it is an actual enemy, so the way I incorporated him into the challenge is that if he sets off and you're in the nausea radius, the challenge fails. This makes it so you have to be careful making noise around them, but you can set them off by either throwing a projectile directly at them or setting them off from a distance, and as long as you're not in their initial screaming range, you're golden. There are also a bunch of enemies that never chase you in the traditional sense, such as idle grunts, pouncers, the Jäger, and berserkers. For these enemies, the challenge only fails if they actually hit you and you take damage from them, which might make some of these enemies not less scary for this challenge, but especially for an enemy like Jäger who already knows where you are and doesn't really chase you, I feel this rule makes perfect sense. Last but not least, there are several settings and text that I specifically banned for this challenge. The light darkness setting is banned, so I have to actually learn spots on the map that slightly emit light and can be get caught off guard. But more importantly than that, the noise indicator is banned too. It does not only tell you how much noise you're making, but also if enemies start hearing you, which for this challenge is just way too broken. I should learn to figure out the patrol paths and enemy patterns on my own. Therefore, I kept the setting setting disabled as well. Both crouch far jump and crouch door snap are very strong, and probably not even intended text that are probably getting patched or might have already been depending on when you watch this video. Both of these would help me out way too much in this challenge, so I will also not allow using those. With all these rules out of the way, now let's start this challenge by looking at the very first map, and already the big first roadblock of this challenge, the police station map. If you are experienced with harder challenges in this game, you might know that despite being the first map, Kill Snitch is surprisingly challenging with harder variator setups, and the full stealth challenge immediately translates into that difficulty curve. You can probably already guess why, but I'm getting ahead of myself since I will go on a tangent and talk about the first section that already turned out to be very troublesome. And if you now thought, wait, the generator's in the basement? You're wrong. No, I'm talking about the security room. Yes, getting there is already one of the hardest sections in the entire challenge, at least with Enraged. I will get to that. I don't know who designed the enemy distribution in this area, but they knew what type of challenge I would try in the future to fuck me up surgically. When you get out of the shuttle, we want to go through the right path, which already can have multiple different messed up camera spawns we need to be aware of, but we need to react fast too, since a giant spawns outside as well. Once inside, we need to deal with a small grunt, our first screamer, and this fucking creature. The grunt patrols from the security room to this entrance, which is why I wait there until they arrive and follow them, so they don't randomly see me in the hallway. This type of waiting will be a common trend throughout this challenge, whether I'm unsure where a certain enemy is, so they don't fall behind my back randomly. After that, we go through the bathroom to farm some projectiles if possible, again keeping in mind random cameras in both the bathroom and the hallway. And we make our way to the double window, where we make a pathway with projectiles, as well as hit the screamer if he's too close to the breaking noise. After that, we sneak through the windows, wait for the perfect opportunity to place a mine for the giant, and once she steps in, we make it to the room. What I just described to you was the best case scenario, and over the course of the days, yes, days, that I had to grind Snitch for this challenge, this outcome felt more like a fairy tale scenario when most runs didn't even make it past what I like to call security room hell. And most of the troubles can be boiled down to this fucking bitch. I don't know what they put into the AI of this thing, but holy fuck, she already turned out to be the most frustrating bitch imaginable. Just to name a few quirks, she never leaves her little designated area until she randomly does, which I never found out what causes this behavior. She also has the best vision imaginable and fakes animations to catch me off guard from weird angles. That combined with some of the other shit, honestly, I will just let a compilation with some of this dumb stuff roll out so you get a bit of a taste for security room hell. What? What? Let's try it. Bro, why do you not fully turn? Hello? Who? Who? Huh? Who? For this we need ballers right now too, so... Oh my fucking god. Oh, it's... yeah, it's... Okay, bro. I go between the desks. Never fucking mind. Never fucking mind. Yeah, no. There was no shot to actually beat this. I hope this gave you some insight in Security Room Hell, even though I feel I just glossed over it. Just know that over the days of me grinding, I never mastered the section, and whenever I thought I would get progress in getting better, the game finds new rails to rail me. After making it to the security room, we rush towards the Snitch before the giant respawns, and yes, for me the security giant and the Sector A one are canonically the same bitch. And after the power cuts, we make our way to the basement. The basement is pretty straightforward, with coil patrolling, a few screamers and a berserker in the beginning area. It mostly boils down to finding the generator and making sure that coil is further away as well as any screamer, and when we get out after, we need both the screamer and the berserker away from the shutter gate, and make sure to exit once coil turns the corner. He can have fake positions like the security giant, and peeking is very lethal, but it's way more manageable compared to the security giant and felt more fair. Besides that, there were some rough failures down there, like coil seeing me the moment I step out of darkness, and we also had a screamer gen incident, but hey, we got to see the screamer execution, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys watching might have never seen it before, so that's pretty cool. After getting out of the basement, I went to clear the area of any nasty cameras on the garage shortcut, which I planned as my endgame escape, and after that we have to deal with the Snitch push. I did not have any great ideas on how to deal with the giant and the push in general, so during day 1 I left the Snitch all the way in the back and focused on the keys first. This doesn't mean that I wouldn't get fucked by the giant still, but since I could just wait for good positions, I could open hard and focus on getting the 3 keys for the other doors, which for the most part are very stealthable. And yeah, resets at this stage hurt more than usual. Yeah, we're gonna wait until he passes by, and then I'm gonna go through there and disable that camera, because that one is no good. Bro, what? He fucking went outside, bro. He went outside all the way around. Bro. The advantage of the strategy was that I could push through the hard door without any trouble, since the giant moved forward towards A. The problem is that the push through A would be impossible without a blind mine plan, with both the giant and the A grunt also randomly patrolling the track. So that is what both day 2 and 3 had to focus on, besides obviously getting fucked by security hell in the latter half. During day 2, I tried to come up with the cafeteria strat, where I tried to lure the giant into a mine to a certain spot in there with a bottle, push once he was stunned, and redeployed a second mine with a rig recharger to finish the push. The problem was that the giant was too dumb to actually go in there. However, after observing the natural patrol path of the giant further, I noticed he would stop right next to the mine, so we tried to execute the same plan, but with an altered mine placement. I mean, if this happens again, I might also just go ahead and commit to the push. Because maybe the smoke is good enough. Yeah, I could have pushed there. I was too fucking scared there. But it rearms, right? So I have another shot. Oh my god, now the other guys want.
Are you following the TV screens? God. Come here, you.
The idea was there, right? Oh yeah, a little fun fact about the strat, almost the exact same thing happened soon after when we got back with the same grunt set off and Pusher again ruined his strategy. I couldn't deal with this shit, a new strategy needed to come to fruition. which is where day 3 came in. Between day 2 and day 3, I had some time to think about how to handle the A section, and came to the conclusion that instead of letting the giant in the A grunt ruin my day in A section, I need to pull the push off before the enemies can harass me, and for that I need a strategic mine placement, so I came up with this. When opening the shortcut, there's a pathway the giant can randomly take, and with that, and a mine idea, a new plan was in motion. She's blinded. Yes, she set it off, I heard it. I saw the smoke, like, way in the background.
Are you following the TV screens? God.
Yes! He heard the push, but he looked through the doorway he would go through. Okay, the only problem is, how can you replicate this? Because I'm gonna be honest, I was guessing when she was stepping on the mine. Like, I saw the second one, but like the first one, I needed to kinda guess. This was a fragile plan, as it still got me killed at times, but the best shot we had at getting a solid A push done, which is massive progress, because besides getting the keys, we could also start farming for endgame. We need the secret room for the stamina booster, which I plan to use for the rest of the push, as well as the master key to farm liquid chargers for the execution, which for that we can also now go back into the basement, as most of the enemies downstairs are gone. It was getting scary close to finally have a shot at the finale and beat the Snitch once and for all, so after some more time getting past the A push, we had a run. I don't see A yet. Let's wait until the giant goes to the fucking door. This fucking guy! Oh, let's ignore the bottle! Let's ignore the fucking bottle! This AI can suck my fucking balls! Oh, I can't with this. Minus 70 minutes. Minus 70 minutes. Shut up! Disgusting. Your fucking stupid ass whore AI is disgusting, man. You fucking piece of fuck! As much as I tried to make more out of the day, I couldn't for the life of me get anything else done on day 3 and left the day defeated. Both in-game, but also emotionally. There's a certain point within a challenge where you do have to re-evaluate your own capabilities. Because the reality was that I was very convinced I could still beat it, make it back to before Gate A, and actually finish the trial. However, if you look at it, I was stuck at the very first trial of the challenge for 21 hours now. But most importantly, I was not really having fun. Having to walk on literal eggshells because of the extreme variators I made myself go through made me go insane rapidly without feeling like I could really improve or overcome this challenge? What if you play flawlessly, but because the game does some weird shit caused by enraged enemies, a bottle incident happens again? What if you play your A game, but because you peaked for 1 frame and didn't play as slow as possible, all of a sudden you lose the run with literally 0 room for error? The reality, dear viewer, is that as much as I wanted to push myself the hardest with challenges like these, and I would take the grind into account, I just bit more than I could chew, and I had to cut my losses. I did make the decision to remove enraged enemies from the challenge. I do feel bad for this decision, as now it feels like I'm cheating a victory by making it easier just because I took a while to grind already, but at the end of the day, fun should be part of the grind, which the quirks that Enraged provided didn't leave room for. Not to mention that as far as I'm aware, again, no one has done the challenge yet, so I'm a pioneer anyways, and I think removing the variator doesn't turn the challenge too trivial either. So we went again with day 4, and I immediately felt a sense of relief that I didn't have to play ultra flawless, and that a lot less random shit ends up happening. Did I still die in Garage? Yes. Did the giant still fuck me up with the pushes? Yes. But it only took around an hour of playtime to have a run go towards the previous PB at Gate A, but most importantly, every fail actually started to feel like I actually failed on my own terms, whether it's being greedy or dumb. I was having fun again, and it felt realistic to beat while still being a challenge, and after 6 hours worth of attempts, we got to have a shot at the best run yet. My heart rate just jumped. My heart rate actually just jumped, chat. Like it actually jumped up. Right fucking there and then. Why are you here now? That was not planned. That was not planned, chat. Bro, little bro's no longer on strike. We need to replay. My plan was to blind him at the very end, so Coil is possibly not in endgame. Now, plan change, chat. We need to figure out his patrol pattern. Also, keep in mind the giant stays here too, so I need to make sure that she doesn't see me go through there as well. No, this giant stays here. That giant right there stays here. There's another giant at the exit. And the reason I kinda need to go through there is because you have the other, like another guy patrolling the cells now, too. That's why I'm not going main exit. That's why I wanted to go there, like, in the first place. Oh my fucking god, this fucking slut. I saw her go there. Giant. Checking car. Okay. Yeah, I can try to chuck one over there. Oh my god. We are almost done, chat. This was like the scariest bit right there. We made it out of this little... Like, this little jump through the window is probably the hardest thing. Like, there's another bottle that I can chuck across and then it's a home free. I can use my blind 2 again. And there you have it. Killer Snitch finally beaten without being seen. I cannot understate the state of relief I felt when I finally got to exit the trial and cross the first trial off the list. It took far too long, and again, I'm sorry if people are disappointed now with the enraged rule change, but removing it did make the challenge feel way more realistic to conquer while still being challenging. Luckily for us, the second trial in Orphanage will be a nice little break from all the suffering the police station put us through, so let's go there. Cleanse the Orphans is widely considered to be the easiest main trial in the game, and this does reflect in the full stealth challenge as well. Don't get it twisted, you still need to play carefully and methodically to beat Orphanage undetected, but compared to other trials coming up, and oh boy, compared to Snitch, it was definitely a good break after beating Police Station. Compared to that, I will mostly speed through discussing the attempts. To be blunt, there isn't a whole lot to talk about, as it took only 6 attempts total, and lots of the fails were mostly getting caught off guard by the same camera twice. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, and becoming impatient with some of the enemies. However, there's one thing I would like to highlight in Cleanse, as so far, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time talking about our rig choices for this challenge. As you saw in Snitch, we were running the Blind Mind because it can stun enemies, but also create artificial darkness so you can brute force certain objectives, as you saw with the Snitch finale. But if you now look at Cleanse, we are running X-Ray instead, and I want to take the time to highlight how good the reworked version is for this challenge. The recent update made it so it's a toggle ability with charges. That combined with the pings to walls means we can get great information on enemies, and we have a lot less of the I need to wait until I can confirm where the enemy is so I don't accidentally run into them type of gameplay. There's 3 different objective segments in Cleanse the Orphans. First, you need to tune 2 radios in the dorms. For that, I rush one of the nearest radios and wait until Gooseberry comes, since I don't want to get caught off guard by her running around in the middle hallway as she patrols between the radios. Once both of them are done, she leaves and I can leave the area while keeping an eye for other enemies. The movie reel part is a bit more tricky, but also the part where the X-ray rework that I mentioned earlier shines the most. We need to swap movie reels in classrooms, and in this case we get one classroom across the area, which is a huge track. But again, since we have the detect and ping capabilities of X-ray, we can easily predict the paths of both the giant and the grand patrolling, so after methodically delivery, we make it out of this segment without too much issue. The last part requires us to get keys outside the chapel and turn on one generator in the basement, similar to Snitch. This is also our first introduction to Night Hunter in this challenge, who can see in the dark but can't in the light. In this case, we got a pretty bad generator in the middle, but we are able to distract Night Hunter with beautiful timing after seeing the perfect moment with X-Ray, and crank the gen and leave the basement before we had a chance to catch us. Keys also went pretty well, without too much trouble. There's one grunt patrolling in between screamers that we can easily avoid with X-Ray, and we can even see the keys in the correct corpses without actually paying attention to the symbols too. And after preparing Jesus Barbecue without issues, because there's actually no enemy stopping you, we made it to the actual escape part, which is the part that I was mostly sketched out about, so let's see how it goes. I should have not started the final encounter without having my X-ray full. didn't chase me.
Look over there. The ghost.
Goose is also waddling away. I need to mark this guy. And there you have it. Cleanse the Orphans, as I said, 6th attempt in give or take 2 hours of playtime. If you've played the game for a while, this result should not really surprise you that it was rather easy. Again, very glad on one hand to give me a break after how rough Snitch was, but still, I hope Gooseberry's next trial and Fun Park can make up for it. Going into Grand Bad Apples, I didn't fully know what to expect. I knew the first boat push could become an issue, not on the level of Snitch necessarily, but I knew this was one scenario where blind could become mandatory, just as the finale as well, since that one is another do an objective in an area with the prime asset scenario. But what I was really scared about was the outside fair game ticket hunting section in broad daylight. As it turns out, that part wasn't too bad though. First, we need to get to the diner in the middle. There's one grunt we have to be careful about, as well as a berserker. If possible, I try to lure the berserker towards the entrance of the carnival, where he can't cause too much trouble. After reaching the diner, we are tasked to throw hearts at games to win tickets. Which, since we are very lazy, we skip the first ticket by doing a glitch by jumping as the first game opens. Also referred to as the clown skip. Expect this to get patched, by the way, as soon as the video goes live, or hell, even by then it might have already been. But for now, we don't waste time in the light as the first game, but also get into a very advantageous position. As since we glitched out the clown game, the door behind us stays locked, so any enemy can't backstab us randomly. From here we wait until we confirm the location of the second carnival grunt and make our way to our second game. The way this section is built is that we have 2 grunts and a berserker to deal with. One grunt is the one that we sneak past in the beginning, that stays around the beginning side of the carnival, while the other grunt patrols the other half, and both halves have 1 game each that we need to win. The second grunt is also the scarier one, as he has a lot more stops on his patrol path that are right next to the wood canal entrance. For general traversal, we mostly go through the crawl spaces and jump from empty game to empty game, as these are most of the dark spots in this area. But yeah, besides that, not much more to mention about, so enjoy some satisfying shots. Unless provoked, I'm pretty sure he never goes there either. Okay, I can go there. Okay, here's the thing. Can I snipe the... Okay, the problem is this thingy, this ice cream thing is in the way. Otherwise, we might have a decent snipe from here. But yeah, if we have good aim, which on this channel is kind of like iffy, we can just snipe that one. And it might be good, because then I'm not exposed, you know? Oh my fucking god, this is gonna be so hard to hit, honestly. I hit it. 1. I hit 1. Okay, that one a little bit higher. Got it. Nice, we hit it. Let's go. Okay. Maybe like this. Nice! No Kotz aim in this household. Let's fucking go. My aim actually was kinda on fire during these attempts, but it didn't stop me from getting caught from random bullshit. Whether it's a bad peek, random cameras that blend in too well, and oh boy, the pitcher is so back from his vacation. The amount of stalling and in some cases pain he caused were immaculate. He really wanted to step up and become the main character again. Speaking of cameras, special shout out to this camera at the start, as well as the NASA security thing around the Space Girl entrance thing. Eventually we make it to the wood canal where the previously mentioned boat pushing takes place after Scream Assault in the worst way possible. The first step is pretty easy. Make sure the patrolling grunt was going away and push the boat to the checkpoint and then remove the batteries from the court. After the barricade is lifted though, the giant spawns in, and this is where the mind-numbing madness of the first boat push starts to happen. What?! 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 I tried to set up a blind where the crouch hole is and lure the giant with bottles, but it didn't account for the fact that that giant is the cousin of the Sector A1 from Snitch in terms of intelligence. And it's up to you to decide in what way. Not only did this bitch completely ignore multiple bottle throws when I was about to hit an actual jackpot, well, see for yourself. Bro, if you go to the hole by the way again, I'm gonna chop your fucking head off. There we go, good girl. Now investigate. You can do it. That would be so good. Bro, this fucking guy. This was perfect, bro. Oh my... Oh. Essentially, I resorted to waiting for the most part, as both bottles and blinds weren't reliable enough, and since unlike Snitch the boat doesn't actually move backwards, I had all the time in the world to handle it, which trust me, some attempts were quite bad regarding time. This attempt, which eventually failed, led to this result screen, which, if you compare to the time the actual final winning attempt took, should tell you a lot about how insanely this could drag. You would have this giant go in places and even go fishing, I think. I don't know what the fuck this bitch is doing. Reinforcements kept coming in, winning even more potential moments, but the deciding factor that ties this section so brutally together in this challenge is the grunt I mentioned at the start. That guy can go to the further back rooms away from the boat, which is great and bad at the same time, as he cannot be at the boat push, but since he patrols between these rooms and the boat, and since we don't have X-ray, this results in either lots more waiting to confirm where he is, or getting caught red-handed in a moment of impatience. Eventually, when we do get the boat upstairs, which again, I can't understate, at times it was in absolute baby steps, we push it a bit further in peace before the wood canal ride's water disappears, and we have to turn pipes. There starts the last part of the trial, which I wasn't worried about at all, but don't worry, I managed to immediately mess it up anyways by waking up a screamer. So back to the carnival games we went, which honestly, I'm glad about, because that gave us some time to reflect on some lore. What? That's the first time I hear the, what? Is that like in the newest video? Because I haven't watched that yet. What the fuck? What a way to enter the stream, by the way. W first chatter, holy fuck. Bro, they're gonna pull a Squid Game somehow. Well, that's clickbait right there. Not clickbait, but like, that's a eye-catcher though. If you wanna hear about Pregnant Amelia, watch Debian's newest video. Why the fuck do you talk about Pregnant Amelia in your newest video, okay? You wanna give a statement on that, or? It's not surprising. Listen, I didn't watch the video yet, and someone just randomly comes into the stream, first time message, and it's like, wait, did you see like the fucking thing that Happy Art, like his theory about Pregnant Amelia? And I was like, what? The therapy? Right. Also during this time, I figured out that you can make the Jäger despawn with the clown glitch too, if you get her early, which got me very excited. Okay, let's test it. Flood can't reach me. Again, I'm pretty sure this one will get patched, but I like the strategies it enabled for the challenge. After more sneaking around the pitcher's ego, more carnival games, and even more time spent on the boat push stalling, we eventually made it back to the pipes. There's one pipe upstairs and one downstairs that we need to turn. I did upstairs first, which only had Gooseberry, who also partours in a very big area, and the pipe I got was also in the dark with a hiding spot close to it. It was very trivial to brute force this one. Downstairs can be scarier as the grunt is still there, and a night hunter is also deployed. Luckily for us, we also got an easy pipe downstairs that didn't take too much trouble. After distracting the giant upstairs, we got a window to push the boat down, and after farming a few rig rechargers and avoiding night hunter, who camped the grinder area a bit, it was time for the final encounter, which I will let the footage speak for itself.
Don't run, children! I only want to play!
I'm bored. Let's play.
Motherfucking gooseberry.
That's a good ping actually. Do we still have a ball? We can lay a trap again. And like smoke her ass and then rush button. That was not close enough. Is this like just out of range or what?
Hey, that's my job!
Fucking fella.
You don't hurt my children! Kill them! Kill them all!
Just gonna stop the gun. Problem is if I press the button that makes noise, and I don't know if this would be out of range to where she wouldn't hear that. Hold on, but I have an idea, chat. I have an idea. This is like so scuffed, but...
My baby!
That was way too close right there. We have 3 minutes. We're gonna wait until she steps on it again.
My children!
Children. Was that nice?
Bye bye. And that's Bad Apple's done after 24 attempts and roughly 6 hours of playtime. I would rate this pretty average in difficulty. I definitely failed due to some skill issue, but then also, yeah. I don't wanna think about some of the dumb shit and boat push anymore. It's behind me now. For now, we will leave Gooseberry for a bit and return to Cole's territory in Courthouse. Going into Vindicate the Guilty, I knew that this would be one of the easier trials for this challenge, which might surprise some people considering a certain section with a certain enemy type, but I've played this trial more than any other, especially in the early days of me playing this game in early access, so I had lots of experience with it. This experience didn't stop me from throwing head first, rushing into screamers, getting caught by ridiculous camera spots, and getting sandwiched, gangbanged by the Pitcher Night Hunter life triangle, but once we made it past that into the courtroom, a state of locking in began. The first half of the trial was very straightforward enough. Get one acid bucket from upstairs, which we smuggled all the way downstairs through the no-rig zone shortcut, and get a head evidence from Coil. Regarding the head, I did play a bit more cautious than necessary to not get caught by Coil in the blacklight, but I will be honest, these two tasks are incredibly straightforward, and as long as you don't rush, you shouldn't have any issues. Now, regarding the witness section, I think it's worth talking about the special rules this guy has in this challenge, because obviously he is an enemy, so if he detects you, the run should be over, but since you kill him, I made it a bit more nuanced than that. To put it simply, I used Hitman's Silent Assassin rules as a comparison. In Hitman, if the target detects you and nobody else does, and you kill the target, you can restore Silent Assassin despite failing previously. We are applying the same logic for witnesses here. If I pop a bulb and he escapes, but he didn't see me, I'm in the clear. But if he did see me, I have to kill him before he reaches the insertion gate. If he makes it in there, he tells about my location and makes me fail a challenge, or at least that's the logic I went for. The first one downstairs went down very easily because not only is the area dark, but also I can use my mine, so as long as I watched out for Night Hunter, I got the kill very easily. The upstairs one is another story, with it being mostly in the light and no mine available because of a no-rig zone. The important part here is to pop only one bulb at first and get the last two in one sweep, because if he stays alive with one bulb, another giant spawns upstairs, which makes this section indefinitely harder to outstealth. Luckily for me, when he respawned, he did so in the only big dark room, so after killing him and hiding from Jäger in a crawl space, we snuck downstairs and made it to the execution. Before killing the judge, I did go ahead and farmed more rig rechargers to replicate the Snitch strategy at the execution chamber, and then I went to work. Because holy fuck. The other bottle he didn't hear because he was too far away, that's funny.
It's hurtful when you disrespect the man. I feel you. I take care of you guys. You take care of me. That is a start with intent. No such thing as...
I had no idea that blind mines work this way until now. It's very fucking broken for this challenge.
You do not interfere with the law.
Call is gonna be at the exit too, but I'm playing it safe. I'm not rushing in the middle because the giant might just see me, so... Problem is I do not fucking know what the actual patrol patterns at the end actually look like. Now the problem is there is a grunt and coil at the end, and this area is quite open too.
What the hell you doing wrecking the furniture?
I just don't know if the grunt also goes... I mean, the grunt should also go down the street, no? Alright, bro. Alright, bro. Yeah, no idea what's going on with this fuck, but damn, I felt like Bibsuda at times when playing this challenge. Doesn't matter too much though, as we made it very far very quickly, so we could make it back fast again, so that's what I did. Just as a warning on the side, you will have the opportunity to watch the full uncut runs, link in the description, but during the final Vindicate run we did get into very gamer unfriendly topics, so viewer discretion is advised. That being said though, after 2 hours and 8 attempts we made it past Courthouse pretty effortlessly. Mind you that 6 out of the 8 runs died before even making it to the courtroom, which is funny thing to point out. Either way, there was only one more trial of the original 1.0 release left, so let's return to Gooseberry and visit her in the toy factory. Pervert the Futterman was the second trial I used X-ray instead of blind for this challenge, and as you will see later, it wasn't for convenience sake, but because I think it was the superior tool for this trial in particular. Our first task is to reach the basement and retrieve a key from this trash compactor by feeding it trash boxes. On the way to the basement, we need to avoid a spawning giant, but this is also where we realize a big problem with Toy Factory in this challenge almost immediately. So far I've talked about the surveillance cameras in passing, as we had some nasty spots here and there, but Toy Factory is the first map where trying to watch out for the countless mess up spots can become a huge deal. We have multicam setups on the stairs, guarding conveyor belts, as well as cheeky ones around corners. Oh, look at this one right here. If I didn't see the tutorial pop up and health change, I wouldn't have even noticed that I was getting zapped. The camera spawns are genuinely nasty on this map, to put it short. After a bit of stealthing outside, we made it to the compactor, which is straightforward enough. We need to put the trash on the conveyor belts first before activating it for maximum efficiency. Keep in mind, as long as the grunt is not alerted, he will never enter the compactor room, and he also doesn't have an angle to actually see you in there unless you heavily provoke it. We still have to be careful about reinforcement, which Jaeger for some reason was very fond of visiting me multiple times, but with a lot of patience, avoiding cameras, going upstairs, and watching out for the giant, we made it to the factory. Now wait for the grunt at the end of the hallway until he moves, watch out for the cameras again, and you make it to A section. A is a very unique section as it locks you in with Gooseberry as well as reinforcements until you complete both the first key and first box. This is where the new X-ray is absolute god here, as I can use it for a second to keep pings and position and stealth and plan accordingly. If we had Blind Mine, this would have turned into one of these long waiting games like in Snitch or Root Canal Push, but with X-ray we clear A section very easily, especially with the God Pillar downstairs, preserving cover and blocking line of sight perfectly. However, as much of a help as X-ray was in the previous segment, getting B and C box was gonna highlight a big shortcoming with trying to rely on it, and that is its limited range. Alone while trying to read the correct numbers, the dread of the bright downstairs area with lots of potential line of sight for Gooseberry to spot you settled in. 496 186
Obstruction on the production.
Shit from
Production cannot resume without foreman key override.
who? Oh my god. Navigating downstairs never got less scary over the attempts, and more often than not, I literally waited in hiding spots for Gooseberry to show herself, since by default she's the only one patrolling. Now unfortunately for me, by default doesn't mean she's the only enemy I need to worry about.
You have to make your own lessons. I'm all
What the fuck, bro? I thought he spawned like downstairs. After another work accident, and yes, I'm talking about the drill massage, we started to make progress getting the boxes to the correct locations, which is where I want to talk a bit about the conveyor belts, just for a second, because this challenge was the first time the mechanic did what it was designed to do for me, and that is creating tension. Normally you can pretty much boil down the conveyor belts as a waiting mechanic, where you make sure enemies don't interrupt you, and in an average playthrough, that can be pretty boring. However, if your objective is to not be seen at all, and the one hiding spot right next to the conveyor belt is taken, all of a sudden you feel insane paranoia, especially with the insane downstairs sidelines. What I'm trying to say here is that even though I will agree that the conveyor belt mechanic isn't my favorite, I can appreciate what it did in the context of this challenge. By the way, even if you have hiding spots available, it can still be tense, as I almost got snagged by the goose a handful of times while trying to get up boxes. There isn't too much more to say about this section besides the tension remained high despite occasional huge wall hacks, but eventually I made it through the final garage door and placed the last box in its correct correct feeder. So one more thing left, and that was scanning keys. Now comparably, this section was very easy with X-Ray again, as not only could I mark both the Grunt and Night Hunter, like in A section earlier, but the keys are also highlighted with X-Ray, so it trivialized it further. Didn't stop me from somehow getting folded once, but at this point, I'm doing it for the quota and for the clip farming. After completing all production steps, Gooseberry leaves and a giant guards the crank, which makes a lot of noise. Now you would think that this section is very tricky without blind to Chisu, however the giant has a bigger patrol radius than you might think. He does go to the back of the security room, as well as to the back rooms upstairs, so it was only a matter of keeping X-ray pings on him and waiting for the opportunities where he was far enough away so I could reroute the production line in peace. Following the Deviant, you will reach the Incinerator, which is the final encounter, and once more a section where you would think you would need blind to push through, similar to Snitch or Vindicate finale. But what if I told you this section is one of the easiest finales in the game because of one crucial detail. Gooseberry spawns in and out of the trial, which you can wait her out and then proceed with the objective uninterrupted. Now obviously we have the part with multiple enemies where we have to refresh the pressure with the Actually, who am I kidding? The game was kind enough to give me a fucking god seat where the pipe that I need to turn is right next to the incinerator. So all we need to do is wait out both Pusher and Gooseberry, who respawned when I unlock the shortcut, turn the pipe, and one cycle barbecue the toy without any issue. Very anticlimactic if you ask me, but don't worry, unlike the execution, the actual escape sequence was one of the hardest ones yet.
The goose.
I think the strat might be behind this. The strat might be to go up like that truck and throw bottles where the crouch hole is to distract both of them. Alright, I also hear the giant. What? Who are you? Huh? Who's that person, huh? That is not the giant from the exit. Is that the fucking giant from the incinerator furnace? Just going around because everything is open? But what the fuck? Who the fuck is that? That's obviously you now. Yeah, like that is the actual giant from like the exit. Now that's scary. I didn't need to know that that's a thing that can happen now. Yeah, not gonna lie, this is so sketch. What we might also do if the goose goes over there again. That is very fucking good progress. Of course, our main character arrived. I'm gonna have to wait until Pitcher pisses off, by the way. Giant is checking the hole. I do not know where Pitch is. I'm just so scared that he falls like behind my back now somehow. They're working in sync right now. They're working so in sync right now, it's insane. No, there's another enemy there. There's another enemy. There's Pusher there. Pusher there. I can't yet. By the way, I was guessing. I didn't know if there were like 2 pairs of lockers like this, or if this side just didn't have a hiding spot. I was purely guessing there. The goose is over there. Hold on. I can't ping her though. What is he checking actually? She heard the button, but she didn't see me. She heard the fucking button, bro. Where the fuck is that? Pusher.
Motherfucking gooseberry. It's a baby mother.
Nice amount of minutes shared. And that was it. Toy Factory, the last one of the original release trials, beaten completely undetected, with 7 attempts and roughly 4 hours of playtime. If you compare the original 5 trials with Season 1's Poison the Medicine, you can definitely see a big jump in difficulty, and I'm not only talking about the mechanics. Of course you have Franco with a ranged weapon now, but for all intents and purposes, Poison is, in my opinion, the longest trial with the biggest fetch quest in the game, which for a full stealth challenge is really awkward, right? That is correct, this is second trial. Second trial Poison. Alright, I could have gone ahead and gaslit for a bit how this is insanely tough and nerve-wracking, just to reveal the twist at the end that yes, this was indeed the second attempt. And the craziest bit was that I was expecting it to be one of the easiest trials. You might now ask, why? Well, instead of just going over multiple attempts like the other trials, we will overanalyze the winning one, and I will tell you exactly why I was convinced on how easy it is for this challenge. We start the trial by getting past a screamer, a very busy giant, and one more grunt guarding the watchtower. Using cover and just waiting makes this very easy, just as much as getting into the drug lab afterwards. We just wait until the giant goes downstairs and we're home free. The lab itself is where things start getting interesting, as we now have the infamous cocaine grunt. We will have to deal with this guy a total of, give or take, 6 or... No, I'm not saying it. I'm not fucking saying it. We will have to deal with this guy a bunch over the course of the trial. That makes him the perfect candidate, though, to talk about why I meant in the beginning that the dogs might be one of the easiest for the challenge. We're running X-Ray to keep tabs on him and any other reinforcement enemies, and with his patrolling area we can keep the cocaine grunt very much under our control, similar to A section in Toy Factory. We put in the drugs, we wait for him to get out of the cooker area, we push the cart, we wait until he goes further in the lab out of hearing range. We cut the drugs later, we wait until he is further in and hide when he approaches. It's very simple and straightforward with the long X-ray pings, and none of the sections where we have to deal with cocaine grunt are timing dependent. Some of the hardest sections that I covered in this video are those with insane timing requirements, with multiple enemies you have to keep track of. For example, the Snitch A push or the boat push at the start of the root canal. In Poison the Medicine, there's maybe one section that is somewhat like that, and all other ones can be played down with very little issue that you need to wait for the perfect moment. Is X-Ray instead of blind a factor? Yes it is, of course. But even without it, we wouldn't need to wait for the stars to align as hard as doing some of the other sections in the earlier trials. Once you push the car all the way, the next step is to get the new drugs from the train yard with the code detector. This is the Franco section in this trial with some screamers and another small grunt patrolling. But luckily for us, the train yard is dark as shit, and yes, way darker than you might remember. You can joke about the crest utilization in the MKs and in Silence the Idol all you want, but Poison the Medicine isn't too much better with the utilization of the first ranged enemy. Not that that would be a problem for us, as we take all advantages we can get. We stealth around the cameras and slowly get symbol for symbol, package for package, and load the cart with Franco's juice. Once it is full now, we do get to the one section that is maybe comparable to timing dependent. Franco can give us juicy backshots when starting the push, there's a giant that camps around the entrance, and the cocaine grunt can also intercept us from near the lab. So how do we deal with this? Yeah, just kind of full standards. The giant has 3 possible spawns, and with the fish market one, we had the best one, so I just got massive progress with stamina booster adrenaline speed. The next portion of the trial were a lot straightforward again, with the aforementioned method to deal with cocaine grunt. What is worth noting is that while getting the poison from Chemco, the giant stayed around Treyarch, which makes the section even easier. I don't know why that happens, maybe because I delayed the boat access like this and his AI behavior changed because of it, but I can say I have had this behavior and the intended one where he patrols the boat both before. Again, X-Ray is clutching hardcore with both Chemco enemies, and with a lot of patience we get the poison over the boat to the lab, and after we cut the drugs, which as I mentioned before, we use the hiding spot and X-Ray again to deal with cocaine grunt. It's nothing more than a patience game. When dealing with the finale, I dropped 3 drugs at the stairs in advance and grabbed the other 3 myself and hid in the double locker when triggering the final sequence. Little fun fact, a recent patch changed that to a single locker. I don't know why, but it is kind of the most random change ever. After Franco breaks the window, we sneak down, do some amateur surgery and stuff the mules with drugs. Besides almost being clipped by a camera and the pitcher trying to become the main character again, once again there isn't too much to talk about. Franco doesn't even really camp the objective as his AI is also meant to look after the drug spawn point, but since we put the 3 drugs at the stairs in advance, this becomes irrelevant. And now looking at the escape itself, I know I'm repeating myself, but once again, it's really straightforward. We do go through the secret exit in the train station, as I find dealing with the Night Hunter that spawns there easier than with cocaine grunt again. The giant rex next to the watchtower looks up into the stars again, which he has been doing for the last few seasons. And after switching places with Franco, we are hope free and beat the arguably longest trial with only 2 attempts. Mind you, the completion time was very long obviously, but it's a huge relief that we made it through this so quickly. One question remains though, what actually happened which made me fail the first attempt? Well, let me show you. This is already kinda weak, kinda whack. Right. I had no projectile, so... Honestly, I don't know what's more impressive, the second try or how royally I fucked up my chance at a first try in a hard challenge like this, but either way, we take those. This does not mean that moving forward in Franco's trials this will stay, as we will have to deal with the hardest trials and sections to stealth through next. But not only that, afterwards we will have to deal with some of the new prime assets which will be very interesting for this challenge. But for now, and for this video, this is where I will make a cut and return to the challenge in the future. Making this outro right here feels so weird because it has been such a long time since I actually did something for the new main channel, which the new main channel right here is supposed to be for bigger projects like these, but so far there's only one video, which is the 100 Escalation Part 1 video, and ever since then for 1 year nothing happened, so yay, but better later than never. Procrastination and life and everything else is fucking overpowered, guys. It's very much overpowered, but yeah, apologies for that by the way. I saw the 100 Escalation Part 1 video do really fucking well. Thank you everyone who watched it and gave it a bit of a hype. I wish I could have made that justice and followed up with another video soonish, but yeah, as I said, it didn't fucking work out. I mean, now we finally have a second video, and hopefully the next one won't take as long, but I can't do any promises necessarily. I do have a lot of projects planned from, you know, Trials related stuff, but also other games. If a certain other game comes out, there's gonna be challenge runs and all that juicy stuff, and obviously 100 Escalation Part 2, which depends a little bit on how the escalation changes in Season 7 are. If they're not great, then we might skip again and wait again till the next session. It all depends on that. The ball is in the court for like Red Barrels to do good changes instead of bullshit ones like in Season 2. But yeah, besides that, thank you so much for watching the first part of the Full Stealth Challenge. I wanted to do this challenge genuinely since Toy Factory came out and like the full release of like the trial full console release. Like, what was it? When Be Quiet Weekly came out, right after the release. I always wanted to do this challenge, and now I finally got the first part out. Hopefully the second part will be a bit quicker. The plan for that is that when Season 7 drops, which is like mid-July, there's gonna be like big Twitch drop season again. And around that time, I wanna maybe try to do the next part on stream. So if you enjoyed this video and you're interested in general in challenges like these, but also in the Full Stealth Challenge, to watch these live, make sure to check out my Twitch. In general, it's way better to check out my Twitch stream, because unlike how I take care of this channel right here, I actually stream over there and quite regularly, so you will actually see me over there. Same thing goes for my second channel, even though that's more of a glorified VOD channel, but on Kotzwurst Plus you also get like a lot more regular stuff, mostly Outlast Trials, maybe some other stuff in the future, but yeah, make sure to check these two out. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching today's video. It was a long time coming, but we're finally here. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more challenge run content in the future. Make sure to like hype the video up and whatever else YouTube feature there is nowadays for stuff like this. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day, and take care everyone. Bye bye.